Good morning, everyone. This morning we are going to look at how we can boost your vocabulary to support your English GCSE, but more importantly to support you across the curriculum and into your life beyond MHA. The first question around this then is, why does vocabulary matter? Why am I talking to you about this morning? And there are a number of reasons. The first is that you need a range of words to express yourself. You need to be able to communicate in the real world outside of school. In addition to that, though, you need the vocabulary toolkit in order to be able to access your GCSE exams either at the end of this year or at the end of next year for year 10. A study has shown that you require 4,417 words to fully access the English literature course. So the more of those words you are confident with, the more vocabulary you have got, the easier you are going to find that exam. A statistic that might surprise you a little bit more is that you need more than 3,000 words in order to access the physics GCSE. And that means that even for those of you whose strength is in maths and science, you still need to have this bank of vocabulary that is going to allow you to access that exam, to understand what the question is asking you to do, and make sure that you are able to demonstrate those skills. So in summary, the three things I want you to get out of boosting your vocabulary are that you can access both your exams and anything in wider life, that you feel confident in approaching unfamiliar texts, particularly exams in this case, and that you feel like you can excel and that you are able to go on to be the absolute best that you can be. So we're going to pick apart some words this morning, and as a general rule, words are made up of three different parts. There is the prefix that goes at the beginning, the root or the stem, which is where the word comes from and makes up the main body of the word, and then the suffix that goes at the end. So we're going to go through some examples of each of these three. I would like you to be making notes either in your books if you've got them yet, or on paper if not, and you will be able then to refer back to these, use them to create revision cards, and really make sure that you are building up that toolkit to access as much vocabulary as you can across the curriculum. First up then are some prefixes. So these are the bits of the word that come at the beginning, and they are really, really handy because they quite often give us a clue as to what the word is going to be about. So if I come across, for example, a word that starts with re, which is the top one on your list there, the first thing I'm going to do is start thinking about other words I know that start with that word re. So I've got repeat, renew, reunion. Well, I know that repeat means to do something again. I know that renew means to make something start again or to do something afresh. And I know that reunion means to bring people together again. So just by taking those words that I already know, I can quite clearly work out that that prefix re must mean again. And you can do exactly the same with the rest of this list. So X, what other words do I know that start with X? Exit, external, exterior. What have all those words or those definitions got in common? Well, they're all to do with outside, aren't they? You leave through an exit. If something is external or exterior, is on the outside. So any word I come across that starts with X, I've got a pretty good clue that it's going to be something to do with being outside or going out or coming out of something. Connect, control, conjoin, they're all about doing something with something or bringing something together. Try, maybe a slightly easier one. Triangle, 3 sides, tricycle, 3 wheels, tripod, 3 legs. Fairly clear then that that prefix tri means 3. And exactly the same with bi. Bicycle, biped, biannual, twice a year, 2. Sub, think about words that you know that start with sub. The first one that comes to my mind is submarine, a vessel that goes under the water, a subway, a pathway that goes under the road, subtract, to come down from or below the number that you started with. So again, I can work out just based on words I already know that that prefix means under. And the last two kind of tie together. They are the opposite of one another. Words that start with mal, malodorous, bit smelly, bad smell. Malice, something bad or evil. Or malnutrition, poor nutrition. All of those words starting with mal connote something bad. And I've already told you that ben is the opposite. So think about benefit, beneficial, benevolent might be a word that you have come across. All of those words connote something good. Form tutors, if you can just pause the video for a second there and just give students a chance to make a note of some of these. those prefixes need to go on your paper or in your book so that you can refer back to those later on. So if you pause the video a minute and then continue when you are ready for some suffixes. Okay, up on the board now then, you should be able to see 6 of the most common suffixes in the English language. These are a little bit more difficult than the prefixes because the words or the sounds that they are made up of don't necessarily literally mean the thing that they denote or the thing that they mean, but they are just ones that you need to learn. So these are 6 really common ones. For this set of words, I am only going to give you one example of each. As you are making your notes, and again, tutors, you can pause at the end of this slide for students to do that, I want you to come up with the additional examples. So able as our first suffix, our first end bit of a word. The example I'm giving you is flammable. I'd like you to try and come up with another couple. If something is flammable, it means it is able to be set on fire or burst into flame. So that suffix able means that it is capable of, and capable is another example there. Tion, the most common suffix in the English language. Satisfaction is the example I'm giving you. It means an action, a state, or a result. So satisfaction is the state of being satisfied. Probably the easiest one out of these 6 to remember, full. So something like beautiful, for example, literally means full of. So full of beauty, something is beautiful. You've got the suffix ology, such as in biology, and it means the study of. So biology is the study of living things. And last 2 on here, you've got ment, such as fulfillment, kind of similar to tion. This one, it is a state or a condition. So fulfillment is the state of being fulfilled. And last one, which will definitely come up in your English lessons across this year, side, C-I-D-E, at the end of a word, such as homicide, would suggest that something or someone has been killed. So homicide, to kill a man or to kill a person. Again, form tutors, if you can just pause for a minute, let people make a note of those and see if you can come up with some additional examples of each suffix, please. Slightly more tricky then are the roots or the stems of the words, and these are aspects of words that you will see come up multiple times, and these give you the clearest clue as to what that word is going to be about. So if you can learn these 10 as a starting point, you will be giving yourself the tools to unpick vocabulary in lots of different lessons. What I would like you to do with these is make a note of them and see if you can come up with an example for each one. And that example can come from any subject across the curriculum or just any great words that you know. So for example, the first one, aqua, meaning water. My word might be aquatic, which means something to do with the water. So pause me for a minute, make a note of those and see if you can come up with an example for each one. The reason why we are doing this then, the reason why I've asked you to write down those prefixes, those suffixes, those roots, are because when you do come up against a word that you are unfamiliar with, you can use what you do know to access what you don't. So on the board is the word exothermic. I'm sure lots of you would be able to give me a beautiful definition of that, but just imagine you have come up across it in an exam and you're just not sure what it means. What you now need to do is almost become a word detective and start picking it apart and using the knowledge you have got to make an educated guess as to what that word means. So we've talked about the prefix ex. I'd be thinking about what other words I know. Well, we said before, exit, exterior, external. All of those words are to do with out. So I know that something about this word is going to be to do with out. The middle of the word is therm. Other words I know with therm in them: thermal, hypothermia, endothermic. All of those have got something to do, I'm pretty sure, with heat. And then that suffix ic at the end, such as dyslexic, historic, horrific, means to do with. So historic, to do with history, dyslexic, to do with finding words, lexis, difficult or bad, that dys at the beginning. So I don't know what this word means, but I do now know that it's something to do with heat and getting out. I might not get the definition perfect if I was on my own in an exam doing this, but at least I've got the gist of what is happening. I know it is something to do with something that puts out heat, and the definition is literally giving out heat. So you can use what you know to pick apart those words and to access the things that you are not sure about. Even if you only knew that therm was to do with heat, you would know that word is something to do with heat. And everyone would be capable of having a bit of a guess at what it might mean in the context in which it had been used. So what I'd like you to do now then is apply what you have learned today. On the board, there are 6 words that you will use in your GCSE English courses. What I want you to do is use the notes that you've made and the discussions we've just had to try and define and pick apart those words. The bits that we have covered so far today that have been part of this presentation, I have highlighted in red, so they should be your starting point. Form tutors, if you can pause at this stage and give students maybe 10 minutes, see where they get up to and see how far they get with each of those. And when you are ready, if you continue to play, the next few slides will go through each word. So look at the prefixes, look at the roots, look at the suffixes, and make your best guess as to what those words might be about. And when you are ready, carry on with the video and you will see the answers. First one then, chronological. Chronos, time. Ology we know is study, and ical means to do with. So chronological just means in time order. Second one, consensus. Con, with or together. Sense, feeling. You probably could have had a guess at that one. So consensus is an agreement. It literally means to have the same feeling, to have the same ideas. A manuscript, the literal meaning of the word is hand and write. So a manuscript is a written draft. It's usually the first draft of a book. Fourth one, regicide. Reg is to do with royalty, the king or queen, and side, you know from earlier, is to do with kill. So to commit regicide is to kill the monarch, the king or the queen. Subordinate, sub, we know is under, and ordin is to do with order or rank. So if you are subordinate, it means you have a less powerful position. And our last one then, subvert. So sub again is under, vert means to bend or turn. So to subvert means to undermine or turn on its head values or expectations. And that is it from me this morning, but I would like you to make sure, please, that you revisit those prefixes, those word roots and those suffixes, because they are now your vocabulary toolkit that will allow you to access lots of different vocabulary, familiar or unfamiliar, across the curriculum. Thank you.